Hail and kill caller, you're on the air.
Greetings and salutations.
Oh, it's the real Geoff Tate. How are you, sir?
In the flesh. Or, well, in as much in the flesh as one can be on the telephone, as it were.
Well, Jeff, it's good to have you back on the show after about 10 months. I think the last time you checked in with us was back in July of 2018. And a lot has taken place since you've been on the show, and I'm sure if you follow us, not that you would, but we've been embroiled with
I thought we were talking about Genesis here and the wonderful music of Genesis.
And, we are. Do you have some input here?
I would like to speak about that for a moment.
All right.
I am a great fan of progressive rock and progressive music of all types, Procol Harum and the Moody Blues, and of course Genesis. And I understand that there are those purists that are partial to the 70s and the Peter Gabriel era of the band, and that is wonderful. But I must express my great love of all the wonderful things that Phil Collins did in the 80s with that band. He took them to a new level. All those great songs, in the heat of the moment. That was Genesis, wasn't it?
I thought that was Asia.
Yeah, that was Asia.
Fuck. All right, then try this one on for size, why don't you? It's a little song that goes, I caught it from a friend, who caught it from a friend, who caught it from a friend, 'cause you were fucking around. That's Genesis, right?
Yeah, that would be the STD song by REO Speedwagon.
Gentlemen, you're making me rather angry. I don't like to start on...
It's Neely. I was agreeing that it was Genesis.
I don't like to start on the wrong foot this way. Suffice to say that I am a great fan of the more popular Genesis. I love the synthesizers, the keyboards, the wonderful, the hand drums, the little bells that, ding, ding, ding. The song that you started to play a little while ago, Man on the Corner, and of course, I know you're both great admirers of the song Illegal Alien. Is that correct?
Oh, it's the best.
I knew you would be, but of course, Young Doghouse passed along a message to me, some sort of a contretemps, as the French would say, regarding my old bandmates. Of course, I don't follow this sort of thing. Perhaps you would bring me up to speed, as it were.
Well, Jeff, I don't know since you don't follow what your old bandmates are up to, but apparently...
Of course not. I have much better things to do with my life.
Right.
They've fallen on hard financial times because they went through a crowdfunding program called Pledge Music for the fans.
I have heard of this. I have heard of this Pledge Music. It's sort of like Kickstarter and GoFundMe and all these sorts of things. It's where the musicians line up with their hands out, begging their fans for money and promising some sort of product at a later date. And as further inducement, they will offer some sort of little trinkets, little baubles, as it were, bangles, baubles, and bows.
That's exactly right, sir. You
might get a refrigerator magnet of the new fellow's face. Is he a singer or a drummer, or what is he? He sings like a drummer.
Like Phil Collins.
Not nearly as good.
But yes, you're correct. They went through Pledge Music, and Pledge Music basically turned into a go fuck yourself. And so they were going to renege on fulfilling the promises they made to their what's left of their fan base since you've left. They reneged on their promises to provide the trinkets, as you put it, because they got screwed out of their money.
Well, that is certainly unfortunate, but one of those, I like to watch gangster movies in my spare time, and of course the most famous line from one of them, who's title escapes me at the moment, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Well, Geoff, let me ask you something. I know you're probably or may or may not be aware, but your former bandmates, they're down to 2 original members now.
2, yes. That's Mr. Wilton and Mr. Jackson.
That's right. Any thoughts on carrying on the Queensryche name with just 2 people?
Well, I must tell you that I am not surprised at this turn of events. There were concerns about Mr. Rockenfield and his commitment and his work ethic and all that sort of thing. Way back yonder in the blue haze of yesteryear. I never thought this, Mr. Rockenfield. I never thought he was all that serious about the band, and not as much as I was. It was sort of he would make comments about, I could be home, I could be, watching television, I could be, playing with myself. If I wanted to make this kind of money, I could be flipping pizzas, all this sort of thing. He grew increasingly more disgruntled. I don't know if I've ever told you this before. Mr. Wilton got all the, became the public face of the band during the unpleasantness a few years ago. But I believe that Mr. Rockenfield was truly the engine behind my ouster.
Oh, well. And I have to say, Geoff, just to rebut a little bit of what Neely said, because I think he downplayed you. You did just fine carrying on the Queensryche name with only 1 original member. So there's no need for more than 1 if it's the right one.
Of course, and the fans know what the real Queensryche is. But since that time, I released one album that the fans tell me that it's one of their favorite Queensryche albums. Of course, Operation Mindcrime is the number 1 favorite, and of course, other favorites as well as Empire and your favorite, Promised Land, Christopher.
Yes.
But of course, Frequency Unknown is right up there near the top of the list. It's what my fans tell me. And I don't know about the fans of the others, but of course they're biased. Of course they can't be trusted. But I speak with the real Queensryche fans. I took the real Queensryche fans with me. Now, I've got it. I left them the dregs. I left them, that they're feasting on the crumbs from my table.
That's right. As it should be, Geoff.
As it should be. Yeah, exactly, Christopher. I was about to say the very same thing. Now, it does not surprise me that once Rockenfield has, completed his takeover of the band, he's suddenly learned that it's not all fun and games. That you don't get to, hog all the glory behind your drum set. You're still the drummer, and no one knows or cares about you. You can flip your sticks all you want, but no one gives a fuck. Now, he thought he would usurp my glory, but I took my glory with me, and I left him a glory hole.
Or working the glory hole, one or the other.
Well, I'm not sure. You would have to ask Mr. Rockenfield, but he's busy changing diapers. And that, I think, is the most amusing part of it all. He's shoveling shit with a spatula.
So Geoff...
Meanwhile, I am on the road. I am playing the songs that I wrote and that I love, and I am just wading through the poontang.
Right.
And you're carrying that hack band Avantasia, too, aren't you?
Absolutely. But I must make a confession to you, gentlemen. Now that we're finally speaking about me and the things that I am doing, I wondered when we get around to it. I have a bit of a confession to make. I don't know if I've spoken about this before. Of course, I'm in the middle of performing Operation Mindcrime, one of perhaps the greatest achievement in Queensryche, and perhaps all of this music that we like, whatever we like to label it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite know how to say it because I have sort of staked my career on that piece of music, but I am beginning to be. I am powerfully sick of playing this music. The fans insist on hearing Operation Mindcrime, and of course, when we were negotiating with those other fellows, I said, "I want this. This belongs to me. I want exclusive rights to perform this." And I didn't know how god-awful I would feel doing it just a few short years later. The thought disgusts me of this amateurish theater production that it turns out to be. The storyline is just ridiculous. It's so beneath me anymore. This silly story about a prostitute nun and some fellow off the street who becomes an assassin for the great puppet master, and I even called him Dr. X. It's like something from a comic book.
All right. I'm with you, Jeff. As far as I'm concerned, it's about time that you start performing the trilogy start to finish. That's what I want to see.
Oh, as a matter of fact, Christopher, I think the trilogy, I think you'll agree that it shows a great deal more compositional maturity, as it were. Rather than this silly cartoon character that, Operation Mindcrime turned out to be. It's so beneath me. It speaks to my younger self, and after this, I say things like, I don't know if I'll be able to perform it in another 10 years. And of course, everyone thinks, they're worried about the quality of my vocal performance. They're worried about my voice. Am I drinking too much coffee? All that sort of thing. It's nothing to do with that at all. I don't know if in 10 years I'll be ready to perform it again. I don't know if I'll be able to sing songs like "Breaking the Silence" without pitching my guts up.
Well, Jeff, would you consider this situation a "be careful what you ask for because you just might get it" situation?
Well, what happens to the best of us. That's certainly something to consider. You don't know how you'll feel in a number of years. You don't know what your thoughts will be. You don't know where you'll be in life. I suppose. I guess no one gets what we want, but we all get what we deserve. Whatever that means.
Well, Jeff, would you care to comment on this pledge music thing, as far as what the turmoil that your former bandmates are going through, and how they've betrayed their fans by not living up to their obligations?
Well, it's only to be expected when dealing with fellows like them. I'd never. They're not trustworthy. That's one of the reasons why I severed all ties with them. I posed for a photograph with them some dreadful European city last year. Shaking hands, smiling, and looking all buddy-buddy, and that I couldn't get the hell out of there fast enough. But and I made sure to keep one hand on my wallet at all times.
Kind of like a condom?
Absolutely. Well, it is unfortunate that the fans feel ripped off, but one has only oneself to blame. Wouldn't you agree? There's an old saying that you can't cheat an honest man, and you're dealing with. Those people deserve what they get for choosing the wrong side. You backed the wrong horse, partner.
Yeah. If they would have just bought the trilogy records, then they wouldn't have this problem, would they?
Absolutely. That is exactly the case. They should have stuck with me. Stick with me, and we'll come out of this all unscathed, and all the better for it. But no, they preferred their old antique heavy metal, that silly posturing of whatever his name is, the singer fellow.
Todd?
Yeah, Latoya.
Todd.
That's his name, right?
The name of their record is The Verdict, and I would say the verdict is that Geoff Tate won.
Absolutely, the verdict is in. All the results have been tabulated, and all precincts heard from, and Geoff Tate has come out the victor, as he should, as we all knew he would. Isn't that correct, Christopher?
That's what I was thinking. I've been thinking that the whole time, Jeff. Unlike Neely, that's more of a Todd guy than you.
Well, I have always considered Neely a bit untrustworthy, so especially when my wife is concerned. That's all water under the bridge, as it were. But no, I'm quite happy with the way things have turned out for them, and it's unfortunate to see the desperation and the dastardly doings of. Well, look at it this way: these are people on the slide, as it were. This is what happens when you're dealing with people on the slide. They will do whatever it takes to get what they want from you, and there's no act too despicable.
That's right.
So would you say, Geoff, that you ultimately have gotten the last laugh?
Absolutely, and I must say it feels good. It feels very good. It feels like coming in your jeans.
Well, we did have one CMS fan who said that he had donated $25,000, to your camp, and he had the awesome privilege of being able to paddle ham with you. Is there any truth to that?
Paddle ham? He got to fuck my wife. But I got to go first.
Well, Geoff.
For him to go first, it would have cost him $50,000.
Well, speaking of $50,000, your former bandmates had made part of the pledge. $50,000 makes you an investor in the band. What does that mean, being an investor? What do you think entitles a person to $50,000 worth of investment? What do they get out of that?
Absolutely nothing, and apparently in their case, absolutely nothing. They, losing their shirt. That's what happens when you play with amateurs. Play the stock market.
Millions. I think it'd be funny if you use some of your millions, Geoff, just to invest back in the band, and there's nothing they could do about it.
Absolutely. Now, I have. This is why I have not sold in investment shares in Queensryche. Excuse me, Geoff Tate's Queens. What is my band called?
Operation Mindcrime.
No, that's a thing of the past. We're not doing Operation.
That's your band. Oh, that's your current band too.
I said Operation Mindcrime was just a 3-album one-off with this trilogy.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. It's probably just Geoff Tate at this point, I would think.
Jesus Christ! Pay attention, Christopher.
Sorry.
Yeah, Chris.
I'm the one supporter here. Ask Neely to name one song off of any of the three.
Of course not. I would not expect him to. I'm not even going to play the little guessing game with him.
And he talks bad about my favorite member of your band, Kelly Gray.
Kelly Gray is a great collaborator of mine.
Of course he is.
A wonderful man. A musical genius, as it were, an unsung hero, both in the producer's booth and on the recording floor.
Yeah,
but as I would like to say, Geoff Tate Incorporated does not sell shares because I am the captain. I am the sole guiding force behind Geoff Tate Incorporated. So that no, it's you're not entitled to a piece of me.
100% right, Neely.
Well, I'm glad you have kept your integrity intact. Unfortunately, I can't say that about your former bandmates.
Of course not, but then who would expect it? I took all the integrity of the room with me when I left.
So
and the talent.
Integrity is my middle name.
And don't forget the talent, Geoff.
And the talent. And the business sense, obviously. Well, gentlemen, it's certainly been great speaking with you once again, and I commend you for your perseverance in keeping your little program on the air.
Well, our little program is just chugging along, just like the little engine that could there, Geoff.
Everyone needs a hobby.
That's right.
Well, that's wonderful, and you keep playing with your Tinker Toys and all those sorts of things.
All right, Geoff. Well, don't be a stranger.
Absolutely not, gentlemen. It's good to speak with you again. Good to hear your voices again, and to know that all's right with the world.
That's right. Now that Geoff Tate has come out on top of the world.
That's right.
Absolutely. On top of the world and grinning and smiling next to you and paddling ham all the way to the bank.
Exactly.
Hail and kill, gentlemen.
Hail and kill, Geoff.
Fuck you, pal.
Wow.
There's Geoff checking in on the whole Queensryche debacle.
Real Geoff Tate offering some insight.
That's exactly right. Well, we'll play a little bit of strut here, and then we'll take a break.
All right, sounds good.
All right, here you go.